trying to make notes of everybody's movies.
I'm trying to do that too. I'm definitely not getting all
With
of them, but
the post production,
yeah.
less I have to do later. But
I feel like we need like a secretary, like note takey person to just kind of sit in and write down everything we
well,
talk about.
we had one who had your title, but
Well, I have ADHD. I'm not a
well,
good person to do
but
this.
that's not to get into it. It's
Uh,
bad.
I wish that person had not left because yes, amazing ability
Helpful.
to do
That's
that.
cool.
Yes, you're right,
Yeah,
Keith. You know what
yeah,
I'm talking about.
yeah.
So my next one that I liked is a movie called we're going back to the 90s. The 90s, a lot of great stuff came out. And a lot of great indie stuff came out because of the whole explosion with Kevin Smith and Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez and then other, the next level, which are better filmmakers, Adam Ogoyan and Al Hartley and all these cats. It was an exciting time, to be renting this stuff at Cockbuster Video. And yes, I call it Cockbuster Video. I never not call it that. But anyway, so here's one that I discovered. I might have mentioned it to you guys a while back. Maybe Keith, you might not remember. I was thinking about doing it on the very first episode, but I just didn't. I don't think I did. Mary Jane's Not a Virgin Anymore, and it's a 1996 movie. Uh, Director Sarah Jacobson. Apparently, I've seen some shorts she's done. There's another short she's done that's very trendy among hipsters, and I forgot the name of it. It's fun, but this one she kind of hit the hipster audience. But this movie is kind of the movie that Kevin Smith was trying to make. I
I
mean,
like that take.
you watch it, and he would probably agree. You watch it, and it's reminiscent of Kevin Smith in a lot of ways in the way he sets things up, which is these naturalistic exchanges between people and their mundane whatever, and these long conversations they have, and then doubts about their sexuality, and this goes and some of them are artistic. All of that is in this movie. This movie came after Clerks and a year after Chasing Amy, but I don't feel like she was copying him. I do think she probably was happy that he helped open a road.
Yes.
Unfortunately, her movie wasn't. Well, it cost $50,000, and it made back its money. It didn't make a huge profit though. But Sarah Jacobson has passed away, and friend of the show Tim McLean has informed me that Sarah Jacobson, in the underground, is an extremely and was a respected figure, and I'm familiar with most of those kind of people and have sampled them, but I really wasn't. I don't even know if I'd heard her name before, several months ago. So that was a nice discovery. But anyway, Mary Jane is this character played by Lisa Gerson, and she's kind of a nerd, and she's she's cute and she's funny. She's got some social awkwardness, and she's a virgin, and she works at this movie theater, and it's laid out in that Clerks template where you have certain types of people and the way they riff off each other humorously. And I've had jobs where I've done that. I've been the class clown at several corporate jobs, but I've been the one to say we should film this for a reality show. Yeah, but really, this one's kind of like that flavor. And the theater owner is gay, and he's characterized so well. Their friendship is just really incredible. And so she has encounters with two guys. One ends up being sexual, and one of the guys she starts to fall in love with, who seemed like kind of the bad boy at first, and they do have I don't think they go all the way. They definitely have oral sex with each other in this car, but they really get along really well after they get to know each other. And then they have a date where they're gonna go do everything, and then he dies. So the movie takes, and Kevin Smith uses this too. He goes into drama, leans into the drama, kind of in an unexpected way. Now, I personally think the way she did it, I think a lot of people would find it cliche or silly or like unbelievable. But I actually like it better than the way Kevin Smith does it. And um, the movie theater stuff's so realistic. That's all they had to do is film it at the movie theater. And there's like a punk rock chick who has a band, and
Yeah.
all the people are fucking each other who work there, the guys and the women. And the gay manager is basically like standing there like, what the hell are y'all doing, man? I mean, their friend, he like drinks beer with them and sometimes takes other drugs with them, but he's their manager. And, he doesn't tell them about his love life really, but, he kind of gives them advice sometimes. And I thought that was a good thing to do because, in 1996, I think that's a few years after, that I realized that, uh, a gay man talking to me about his love life is really not much different than a woman talking to me about her love life, or a straight man talking to me about a woman, and that was part of my kind of acceptance journey because I wouldn't call it homophobia, but I had a reluctance to to journey through that in my teens, and I had one really bad experience when I was 21, and it wasn't a sexual experience, but it did involve a gay man, and it really made me feel like, and then I had to examine myself, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not homophobic. And luckily, my next job, a lot of the people were gay at Barnes and Noble, and my girlfriend that I had already pretty much cured me of what she called my homophobia. Maybe it was, but my next job had a lot of gay people, and like just something snapped in my head. It's like now you're evolving, and you shed that skin. And 2 years later, I created the intersex sorcerer. It just popped out of my head like Athena, and I didn't know any trans people then. That's what's crazy about it. But anyway, enough about me and my story. But
I loved your story though. Thank you for sharing that. I always find these just really interesting.
I don't have a book to hold up like Bill Mulligan, but I will maybe. But on back somewhat on topic is to have a character who they talk to that way. That became my life too, and I ended up having a lot of gay friends, over the years, men and women. And, of course, like I said, I fucked up my brain. I fell in love with a couple of the women, but, things happen.
It's okay. I fall in love with straight women too. It happens. Actually, no, that doesn't happen anymore, but that has happened in the past.
We love who we love. That's just how it happened.
Yes, the teen years were terrible.
This movie, she learns a lot. She's lost her virginity. It's a black and white movie. It's very charming. It's low budget. Yes, they curse like hell, just like in a Kevin Smith movie, but they're real. They sound like real people in the 90s that I knew that worked in the movie theater, that were in bands or nerds. I mean, they were authentic.
Mm-hmm.
The authenticity of the movie completely won my heart. So anyway, that's one of mine.
That's really cool.
I have two other no, wait, do I? I have one other big like, and then I have one other big hate. What do you have left, Alan?
I've got my one really big like left and a couple of honorable mentions.
Okay, yeah, I might have an honorable mention. Okay, well, let me tell you a second. Since I already, trashed those other two movies pretty thoroughly, let me tell you a second one. Well, I don't know. No, because I already talked to you about Satan Tango, Mary Jane's Not a Virgin Anymore. I wanted to save this for last, and it could be considered last. Okay, fuck it. Hellbender. So 2021 film, and it's by the Addams Family Films with 1D, and they literally are named Addams. John is the father, Toby is the mother, and the kids are Zelda and Lulu. And all of them but Lulu make the movies together. And each one of them, some of them have the same talents, and some of them have complementary talents. And they've made 3 horror movies, and each one I think has its own character. I saw Where the Devil Roams first, but now it was a bootleg, but now it can't be seen until it gets a Tubi contract. This is what Toby told me. And uh, I saw Deeper You Dig. That's on Tubi free if y'all want to see it. And that's good. You know, it's really good. But it doesn't shatter the, it doesn't break any new ground. It's like, it's above average for a modern horror movie that has that kind of really nice digital video look and has great photography, like the snow and everything around it. I mean, nature and the people, the lighting, everything is really top notch. And the music is great. John does most of the music, and he is really good at those sounds. He's really good at like the David Lynch thing where there's like an ambient sound all the time in the background. And then when there's he's not on the nose. In a weird place, he'll have electronic craziness blips. And then he doesn't make it into a rhythm. And then maybe later on it'll come back. So, but they always work, you know, always seem where this is where this belongs. This is engaging me further into the movie, you know.
Also, the fact that it's a little bit off like that, I feel like kind of adds to the atmosphere, because it's very much one of those movies where like something is off the whole time from start to finish, and you don't know what exactly it is until a little bit further in. And it just kind of, that off-kilter thing I think is very effective.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. And so you know, I'll tell briefly, you know, we're going to interview her. It's probably going to end up being February now, but we're going to interview Toby Poser. And Toby Poser is someone I was a fan of on the soap opera Guiding Light in the late 90s. And she was a recast of a character that I really liked. And they made the character 10 years younger. And they wanted to make her sexier. So they got Toby. And, you know, Toby's got this incredible, amazing hair. It's indescribable.
Gorgeous. Oh, my God.
And she had a little sweet, syrupy voice, and which she still kind of does. But she was playing this, you know, daughter of one of these magnates, Alan Spaulding, who, you know, has sex with everybody and manipulates everybody. But she was on there about 5 years, and, you know, her character ended up being really kind of cruel in a lot of ways and selfish. And, you know, she had changed a lot. But, you know, I kind of went with it because I thought she was hot. And also because it's like it filled that void that Alan needed. He needed his daughter back. He needed that storyline, you know. And she would go, Father. And so I somehow came across her name on Facebook, you know, a couple months ago in association with, you know, gory horror movies that she was doing like interviews for on panels, you know, like in other countries and shit. And I was like, this is the shit I'm into. What the hell? And then I found out
that's delightful.
I read some interviews and stuff, and even just from the chat we've had, she knows a lot of shit. I mean, she's an egghead, and not in a bad way. Now John does too, and I feel like John steers everything, but I think Toby gives it its life and vitality. And, you know, in Hellbender, she plays a very relatable, again, an authentic woman character who's raising her daughter alone, ostensibly because the daughter has an immune disease that's everybody's going to catch it, or she's going to get sick from them. So she's, you know, kept away and isolated from other people. And she finally ventures out and meets some people. And she's really kind of feels betrayed by her mother. And they plant some seeds early in this part that pay off at the end. I don't know if you've caught some of this, Kaylin, but, you know, there's one part where they have a lot of psychedelic, like, dream sequences.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like tripping, but it's like a spell. They're going into like that mindset, and they're going into like another dimension almost. And those images are fucking incredible.
They are. They really, really are. The first one happened, and I was just like, Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see low budget horror movies with that kind of creative, ornate
Yeah.
designs and
It was
colors and the way they
visually
were
just
edited.
stunning. Like, whoa, like the whole movie just visually
I
it
mean,
was just
they
so
filmed it.
beautiful.
It is, and they filmed it at the Catskills, where she's the producer of the movies. So
Hmm.
I don't know this for sure, but my theory is based on the age of the kids and when she left the soap operas, there was a little time in between. She probably bought the house, had a good bit of money back then. I don't think they have a huge amount of money right now, um, but they have a passion for what they're doing, and or they do have a lot of money and they're actually using it to make this come true. But so that it was snowing and it was COVID, and they were like, let's just make the movie about a family here in our house. So
Hmm.
John only has a cameo, and so a couple other cameos or short roles, but really the whole movie is the mother and the daughter, and the daughter's named Izzy, played by Zelda Adams, and then Toby Poser's character is only known as Mother, and I think
For reasons.
I'm desperate, desperate when we meet her to say on camera, say, okay, what's Mother's name? I just want because she knows a
Just
name,
have a name. Yeah.
and probably a few epithets of her
Yeah.
power, but basically Mother's a witch, and uh, it did two things with the lore. One, it was ground level and it had a lot of things that were very accurate to these kind of rituals and spells that people do by themselves, especially. Um, on another level, it was kind of next level. I already mentioned the visions, but like there's a symbol that she uses everywhere, and
Hmm.
she makes
Her
it
sigil,
invisible.
right?
A sigil, yes.
Yeah.
But when she's got a basement with a lot of occult shit in it. So when she puts her hand on the symbol, and the key to the door pops out of her hand, and the CGI is just absolutely seamless. And then she opens the door, and just little things like that that are visually just weird and interesting. Uh, and as you go along with her, some ways you like her more, in some ways you like her less. It really
Hmm.
depends, And the daughter, though, seems like she's still a victim, but there are flashes in a couple of scenes that imply the daughter might have killed this guy, but the daughter doesn't seem like that at all yet. She hasn't gotten all her powers yet. The mother's finally told her what she is, and she keeps her there because she's dangerous to humanity. And basically, she wants to tame her, and then they keep their life together. And if they tame her enough, maybe she can go out and have some friends. But
Just trying to live like a normal life as much as humanly possible.
the mother is trying to live a normal life, but she has to be secluded to do it.
Hmm.
But she said, "I live as a human," but they're hellbenders, so that's the name of their particular kind of witchery.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's kind of like a little bit witchy, a little bit demonic. Um,
I've always loved that
it's
word.
it's really, really cool.
Well,
It's
not only
really
that,
cool.
they have a band together named Hellbender within
Yeah.
the movie. So the title of the movie, the first time you encounter it is when they're jamming. It's only later
Yeah,
you learn that's their epithet. And
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I got
And God, like the music in it, like the band and
incredible.
everything. That was one of the first things that just really endeared me to this movie when I started watching it. Like from the first like time they started like doing their music, I was just like, oh, this is so up my alley. This is gonna be great.
The music scenes are really, well, to me anyway, they're
They're
really
great.
sexy. Toby's out, they're really sexy. I guess
I
she's
mean,
one of the
yeah,
things. They wear like
very
weird
well done.
makeup and crazy dresses, and she's jamming out on the bass, and I'm pretty sure she's really playing. And that's another thing. I'm like, oh wow, she plays bass. And her daughter
And if
drums.
she doesn't actually, it was very well done.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah, like either way, just it was very good. Like the music was very good. It's like, oh yeah, I absolutely believe that this mother and daughter just get together
Yeah,
and play music in their basement.
well, the
Really
soundtrack,
cool.
all those songs. I mean, are songs they recorded, and the multiple
Yeah,
layers of vocals from what I've read. Zelda's like the lead, and Toby like does all the harmony and stuff.
it's
And then
cool.
and then what I think, of course, they couldn't do this without altering the plot. Uh, the person who plays guitar and keyboards is John. So
Mhm.
so they've made kind of a version of their real life band, which is also called Hellbender.
Is this
And
something I can look up and listen to, like real
uh,
quick?
you can go on YouTube and all the songs. I don't know if anyone's made a playlist of all of them, but all the songs that they uh, are sampled on the movie,
Nice.
you get the whole songs.
Because if they can be listened to somewhere just like as
Okay,
music, I
yeah.
actually legitimately really loved the shit out of
You
the music, and I would
just
love
collect
to.
them and make a playlist, and you
Yeah.
that's really their album now. They're inching toward a real album, but it's like this movie thing with Where the Devil Roams. I mean, they're touring it and four walling it, but they're also promoting other movies like When Evil, the similar time When Evil Lurks, which
Mm.
which anyone Shudder that should after Hellbender that should immediately be your next movie to watch. Uh, Much more brutal movie than Hellbender. Uh,
Mhm.
very very fucked up.
Not that Hellbender wasn't fucked up, but
South American, I think, director. He did a movie called Terrified that I just out of curiosity watched about 2 months ago, and I was like, "This is fucking good. It's well written. This premise is interesting." And then people were like, "When Evil Lurks is coming," and I'm like, "Whatever. Okay, yeah, all right." And then I found it was the same guy, and then I went on to I went on to Tubi, and it was the day it dropped, actually. And
nice.
I watched it as soon as I saw it in a little blurb. I watched it, and it was utterly compelling. And now they're big fans of that movie, so they've been interviewing his the director of that movie, and attending panels and showings like that. And one of the things I said to her when I first texted her, I said, no, this wasn't a text. This was on one of her comments. It was about that movie, and I thought I was going to sound like really pretentious, but I said this movie is a staggering accomplishment, Toby. And she
Hmm.
said, "It really is. It really is!" Three exclamation marks. But
Also, I looked at the film that you just mentioned. The director is from Argentina, so yes, South American. That's very cool. And I'll
yes,
definitely have to watch it since Latin American cinema is kind of one of my like areas of very much interest. So I will definitely be checking that one out.
Um,
Terrified is either on Tubi and or Shudder.
Nice.
and I've been looking up while we've been talking the album from Hellbender, and if the credits are right, John Adams does all of the instruments,
Oh, cool.
and the others just do vocals in terms of the recording.
I don't know if that's
Well,
true.
then the acting was very
And
good
maybe in
for
the
it.
movie they may play it, but
Yeah.
He
the
plays the
credits say
drums. Yeah.
music written, performed, and recorded by John Adams. The vocals are Zelda Adams, Lulu Adams, and Toby Poser. So
Hmm. Well, I'm a music geek,
I mean,
so
it's seamless, so
yeah. So,
I have
but
to
that's
find
what
out who did
that's at
what.
least how the credits are rolling on it.
yeah.
It looks
That's
like.
cool. But Toby was still sexy as the bass player.
Yeah,
I'll stand by
she
He's
may
that.
not
play.
wrong.
She may be playing along with it, and playing
And the
along with.
daughter was playing the drums and singing, which is hard to
Yeah,
do. And both of them sang.
Yeah.
And she really did play a drum kit in one scene that wasn't part of their practice.
Hmm.
And she really was good. Um, so they all have multiple talents. So they're kind of unique in the modern indie horror low budget scene. I mean, they kind of for that milieu, there's a lot of those movies on Tubi and other channels, and it's like an ocean. And most of them I'm not interested in anymore, or I'll see one and it'll disappoint me. And this one, it definitely I think is part of that milieu, but it's transcending that milieu. And I feel like Hellbender is special to me. Well, it's special to me for two reasons. One, I'm happy to see somebody that I crushed on when I was younger in one art form that's kind of people look down on. And now she's doing like real gritty, authentic stuff in another art form that people look down on. And I more or less told her that when I very first um, texted her. So I said, I loved you as Amanda Spalding, and I think it's so incredible that you've evolved into this horror queen, this icon, And she said, her response made me feel so good. She said, Amanda Spalding and horror in one sentence. Oh my God, what a way to start. And so goddamn insanely cool, 10 exclamation marks. And she talks the same slang I do. Well, we're almost the same age. I'm like 2 years older. And she's just a cool person,
Yeah.
But you could sit down and just rap with. And to me, it's like a culture shock because a lot of the things that were imprinted on me when I was young, sometimes are still in me and I don't know them. Like the Marvel comics obviously is a good example. So then when I see Daredevil, I cry. I'm like, oh my God, he's real. In this case, it's like Amanda Spalding. It's a horror filmmaker. What's happening to the world? And I was gonna be. I have been working on basing a character on her, on the Amanda Spalding character, just a back burner character for a while. And after I checked with her a few times, the channeling kicked in. The name came to me, the background came to me, and I was like, "Oh wow!" So I'm gonna draw a picture of that character within a collage of other, and I'll probably tell her. I hope. I mean, sometimes I feel weird about telling people that. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people are like, yeah, that's cool. Whatever you want to do. But art is art, So, but yeah, I just think they nailed it, and psychologically, the mother-daughter relationship, the teenage girl, and Zelda's very good. I mean, it's easy for me to overlook Zelda because Toby, to me, is a very strong presence. But, they themselves, from things I've read, the parents think Zelda's like the most talented of all of them. And man, maybe she is.
I mean, she was phenomenal. Like I always appreciate seeing younger actors and things and just really appreciating where they are for their age and everything, especially. And just she was really good. Really, really good.
She's amazing. Well, she's the central character of Where the Devil Roams.
Cool.
That's a very different kind of movie, but I would recommend it when it does come on Tubi because if you're interested in anything like 1930s circus carnivals, like the series Carnival, if you liked Carnival, you may not love this movie, but you'll at least dig it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is one of my like aesthetics that I just really like in general. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mentioned, I said it brings to mind Carnival. And she said, "Oh God, I loved that show."
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm like excited about a movie that speaks to me in a way that the artists are creating art in a way similar to the way I do now. So the occult thing, I told her I really wanted to talk to you about the occult thing and the mythology. Mm-hmm. Because they have old lore that they created around these kind of witches. And, like she tells her how old she is. And I believe, tell me what you think, Kayla. I believe the witch that finally explodes into flame into the sky, I think that's supposed to be Mother's mother. But
yes. Yeah, I think so because like there's the whole, mythos of like it's a life cycle thing. It's like one of these hellbenders witches lives their life cycle, they kill their mother, they have a daughter. So it's always the daughter killing the mother. And so the one who burst into flames, yes, I think would have been her mother. That was my interpretation of it.
Okay. I wasn't sure. But when she said she was 147 years old, I was like, well, spoiler, Keith, sorry.
Yeah, no, I told you, don't worry about it.
But,
I'll forget.
I don't know.
I won't remember anything as I sit down to watch it. I'll be able to totally immerse myself.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to say what I just said either, but I was like, I mean, it's pretty obvious pretty early on. Just if you have media literacy, you'll pick up on it,
Right.
All right, Richard's trying to jump in here.
I'm going to have to bow out and go get some dinner here.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
please
But I enjoyed this, and I hope to be here next time.
Yes, we loved having you, Richard.
Good to you?
And thank you for all the recommendations. I've got a whole list here I've been making of
Thank you
recommendations.
for
So
bringing so
have a
much
great rest of the
knowledge.
conversation, and I'll talk to you next time. Okay. See you
All
in
right,
the
we'll
chat.
be in
Thank
touch.
you.
All right. Thanks,
Bye,
Richard.
Take care, sir.
Bye-bye.
So my so I covered Hellbender. So
Yeah.
you tell me your next thing. I forgot what it was.
All right. My last but not least, my probably favorite movie that I watched in 2023, and that's because I didn't get to Hellbender until yesterday in 2024. Otherwise, Hellbender would have been my honestly number one. I loved every second of it. God, it was so good. This one is a 2016 anime film called Your Name. So this one is Japanese anime film. It's about a boy and a girl who have this weird, inexplicable body swapping experience. They keep on waking up in each other's bodies, and living as each other for a minute. And this is such a freaking trope in anime in general. There have been so many shows and movies that have like played with this, but a lot of them actually have some issues. This one I felt handled it actually very, very well. Okay. And the really interesting thing for me watching this is it's a love story. They fall in love with each other by getting to know each other, by living each other's lives, because they have very different lives. The boy is from Tokyo, and so he's very urban. The girl is, you know, like her family like lives at a shrine and they work there and everything, and out in the country a little bit. And as I was watching it, I was kind of wondering if it was going to end up being like a trans thing where it's just like, oh, you know, maybe they love this experience of having these bodies and therefore they realize that they're trans. Because this came out just a few years ago. It's possible, you know. And initially when I realized they were going the romance route, I was just like, not again. Like, there's so many stories like this. I'm so sick of them. And like I got so upset. But as I kept watching, it was actually just so good that I couldn't be mad at it. It was a very, very sweet story. It really, really was. And there's one point where the body swapping just stops. They don't, it doesn't happen again, and they have no way of contacting each other because for whatever reason they would like write each other notes and leave them so that when they switched back they could kind of see, okay, here's what I did, here's what happened, you should know about this. You had this test, I did well on it, or whatever. And then you know, it just stops. They can't contact each other. Then they spend time trying to find each other, basically. And there's like this weird stuff going on with this comet, and I don't want to like spoil it in case anybody ends up watching it eventually. But
that came out of nowhere, but it is anime.
Yeah, no, the comet, you know, maybe has something to do with the body swapping. It certainly has to do with how they end up finding each other. Because basically this comet went down and went to where the girl lived, and you know, they find each other again in like this kind of weird like time shenanigan thing that's going on, and basically they're supposed to exchange information so that they can find each other, but what the boy ends up writing instead of like his name or contact info or anything is just, I love you. And that's just like, what? And then somehow they end up finding each other again, but like years later. They grow up a little bit, they go through college, they've got jobs, and there's just like this serendipitous moment where they bump into each other and they're able to pick up where they left off, and it is so beautiful. Like, just really, really sweet film. And I feel like that description did not even do it justice, but
I love romantic stuff when it works.
Oh, it was so freaking beautiful. So freaking beautiful. And also just the art in it is phenomenal. Like, it was just a very beautifully drawn film. I loved all of it. And I think I remembered, you know, the music was good, and the writing was good, and it was just one of those really sweet films that, like, you know, I'm over here like, yes, give me all of the blood and guts, but also sometimes something like that just hits me really good, and that was one of those films. I did not expect to love it nearly as much as I did, but once I finished, I was just like, man, that was an experience, and it was just something so special that I really would love more people to check out.
Yeah, that sounds good. And where can you stream that?
Oh gosh, I don't remember where I. Let me look it up real quick because I don't remember where I
Um,
watched it.
now,
This was a few months ago.
do you
It
have
looks
one
like
more?
it's
Hey,
look,
Kaylin, do you have one
yeah.
more movie that's a worst or a best?
Well, I had a couple honorable mentions.
Mentions. Okay, well, let me do my last one, and then we can wrap
Yeah.
up.
Oh, but real quick for streaming, it looks like
Yeah.
it's on Prime Video and Crunchyroll. So those are a couple of options. I don't see anything about it being on Tubi though.
Or I'd be on Tubi like tomorrow. I'm not.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well,
Now that I mentioned it, it's just going to show up
it
there.
actually sparked a memory in my brain of Philip Jose Farmer's Day World series.
Oh yeah.
Have you because the short story that inspired Day World, the sliced crosswise on only on Tuesday World, is about a future in which population has gotten out of control. So now people just live
Mhm.
one day a week. They go into these cryo chambers and they sleep for the rest of the
Yeah.
week. And so it's about a guy who only lives on Tuesday, who falls in love with a woman who only lives on Wednesday. And they
Oh,
start trying to communicate between each other. And then he's trying to get
oh,
his
love
day
that.
changed to Wednesday to be
I'm a
with her.
sucker for stuff
Yeah.
like this,
And so when
honestly.
when you're telling this story, I was like, this sounds like something I've heard of
Yeah.
before. And
See,
that's what it
also the
was.
Black
Yeah.
Mirror episode San Junipero. My
Oh
God,
yeah, oh
like,
yeah, San Junipero.
oh, my heart. I
What?
loved that so
Tell me,
freaking much.
remind me
Like,
what
I'm a
that one's
sucker for this
about.
stuff.
I've seen them all. But remind me what that one's about briefly.
San Junipero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one with the two lesbians who fall in love with each other in basically what is a digital afterlife. Um, People can literally have their consciousness uploaded to there. And so there's one woman who
Yeah.
is dying, and she's had this miserable life. She's been paralyzed for a really long time because she got in a terrible, terrible car accident. And she's never been able to really live. So they put her in this system and she's a full timer there, because she literally lives her life in the simulation. The other woman is one who is, older, and she's going into it, at certain times to be able to, like, relive her youth. Basically, they meet at like a club. There's like this spectacular like 80s dance stuff going on. It's so incredibly 80s. I love it. And they go into this and they fall in love with each other. And and the woman who is paralyzed has never been able to explore her sexuality at all, much less with a woman. And she's obviously very into women. And so for her, it's like falling in love for the first time, getting to have sex for the first time, getting to have that like intimate connection for the first time. And there's like this whole story about like, do you do you want to like fade away and not have this digital afterlife, or do you want to have that so you can be with the person you love? And stories like that absolutely get me, like, just
yeah
it's so beautiful. It was such a beautiful.
Okay, so I kind of sort of remember that, but I'm not sure.
You got to rewatch it. It's so good.
It's
so
easily the most popular episode, I would.
Yeah.
It was also uncharacteristically happy.
Yeah, it has a
on a show
it
that
has
is
an
mostly
uplifting ending rather than bleak. Yeah.
What season was it in?
First season.
Okay, was it the first season?
Yeah.
No, it has to have been the second season, because the first season was when it was like 3 episodes before Netflix picked it up.
No. Yeah, you're right. It was the third season, actually. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, it
really
has to be like the second or third.
Really felt like it was early on, but yeah, third series.
I'm not going to get deep into it or really into it much at all right now, but I'm going to tell you my favorite.
No, definitely. It's at some point when you're in the mood for it. It was just a really really good little story. Yeah.
My favorite is Striking Vipers. Have y'all seen that?
Oh yeah.
Is that one of the new ones, or?
It's one of the newer ones, yeah.
Okay, I'm not caught up. I haven't seen anything post Bandersnatch, so I need to. I still need to sit down and actually
Bandersnatch. It was before Bandersnatch.
Which one was that?
Striking Vipers. What episode was that?
Because I saw all of the episodes before that. That's before I felt on it.
It was in the 5th season.
Yeah, 5th.
Tell me what happens. I don't remember.
Sure.
This was the one with what's his face, the Sam Wilson from the Marvel comics, and it has to do with the two guys who are doing the virtual gaming. You would know it.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
would
yeah,
know
yeah,
it
yeah,
if
yeah,
you see
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Okay, yes,
God.
I remember.
Yeah.
Thank you. I needed
Yeah,
I
and
needed
they're
some
just
kind
sort
of
of like
context.
disappearing out of life into the
Yeah.
video
It's brilliant.
gaming, and it's a love affair and everything.
Yeah, that was a really interesting episode. I liked that
And
one
even
too.
having those two actors at this stage in their career and the roles
Yeah.
that they're becoming known for, the
Yeah.
stunt casting
Mhm.
is brilliant nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Yahya Abdul Mateen II. I love it. And he's a guy, he's already played a ton of iconic roles.
Right.
He
Right.
played Black Manta,
Manta, Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan, the new Morpheus
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Matrix, Candyman. And I
Oh,
know,
did he do that? I haven't watched those.
yeah, he was in the new Candyman. And there's one or two I'm probably forgetting, but I like him best in Striking Viper still. But yeah, they're talking about maybe he should be the new Kang, and I'm like, maybe he absolutely should be the new Kang.
Maybe.
I don't think he would want to do it. To be honest,
He was going to do Wonder Man, but I guess that wouldn't be as much work as like.
Oh, I think he's doing Wonder Man.
No,
actually.
Wonder Man's shelved. It's not shelved, but it's
Yeah.
it's kind of in this weird limbo state. But he can always leave and go over. I really think he should be Kang. That's just my opinion, but maybe I'm biased because he's my favorite young.
Well, based on the ending of
I mean,
Loki
he would be a
season
good
2, I don't
Kang.
think we ever need to see Kang again. But that's just me.
I
I mean, that left that door closed for me. I was like, oh, that's
We're
a
done.
brilliant way to say, oh, no more Kang.
I do think we could see Kang again and stretch it out because read the comics as you have.
Oh yeah.
The different incarnation. We might not see Kang. We might see Ramatut. We might see Immortus. But as far as the battle of wills and wits between Loki and Kang, yeah, that's done. And
That's
Loki's
done. That needs to not continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loki is the man or the god.
Yeah. The god.
Yes. God, I loved Loki season 2.
Yeah. That's that made Tom Hiddleston the GOAT of the MCU as far as I'm concerned.
Honestly, I mean, he already kind of was.
He already kind of was, but most people would say RDJ. But I'm like, no. After this performance was
that was phenomenal.
The journey he went on.
He's such a good actor, and like watching the character develop over time. Like I recently rewatched the very first Thor movie that he and Hemsworth were in together, and I was just like, these characters have grown so much. These actors have grown so much.
Yeah.
Whoa! It was really cool watching that right after watching Loki season 2, and I was just like, oh man,
that's amazing. Yeah, I love Loki.
Well, that is quite the rabbit trail. Why don't we head back over to Henry?
Yes.
And let him do his thing.
Well, we can always say, hey, this is a plug for our anti-hero show, which we didn't cover.
I mean, true.
We didn't cover Loki, but I did use him as a bait and switch ad because as an anti-hero.
So this is where we cover Loki.
Well, Loki season 2 is the true progression from anti-hero to hero to God.
Yes.
Well said. So my least favorite movie, well, maybe not my least, but my third movie that I really disliked this year. Well, I will say I saw Cronenberg's Spider finally. So now I've seen all the David Cronenberg movies. It took me 30 years because he's still making movies. But I've seen all of his movies from shorts all the way up to whatever, Crimes of the Future. I saw in the theater. And for a while, he was my favorite director. He's probably still in my top 5 at least. Spider, I mean, it's got Joseph Fiennes or Ray Fiennes. I forgot which brother. And I don't personally, this is just me. I don't personally care for either of them as actors. I don't find them very talented. That's just me. I might be biased because he tried to play Dolarhyde in Red Dragon, and yeah, I'm sorry, he's not Tom Noonan. It just didn't work. It was pitiful, actually, but the director sucked, so I can't blame it on him. But in this case, Spider, it was just pathetic. It was about.
I'm not even familiar with it, so I don't.
I'm not either. I know nothing.
It was about mental illness, and it's in Britain, and it's very British, to where it's almost like teeth grindingly stereotypical characters accent. Like, oh, let's be Dickinson, Dickensian, and thinking this is beneath you, Cronenberg. Now, Tim McLean has read the novels, basically said it's incredible, and the movie shit. And but the performance of him is just so pathetic. I mean, I know his character is supposed to be pathetic, but it's just like, dude, you're not conveying anything about mental illness. You're conveying like the absolute lowest common denominator stereotype. And it sucks, And so I couldn't finish that movie either. We're halfway through it. So I claim it. I've seen it. But, Tim told me the whole thing was shit. That's the only Cronenberg movie I hate. So,
interesting.
But the last movie I saw in the when I was in a hospital, one time one of the last times I saw my primary care, I went to their cafeteria. I always do that if I have money. I went to the cafeteria and there was a movie playing, and it was a movie that everyone knows about and won a lot of awards and made these people superstars. And I had never actually really seen it all the way through, and I didn't see it all the way through. I saw about, I don't know, at least an hour, 10 minutes of it, as Good Will Hunting. And in my opinion, it is absolute trash.
I need to see it again because I have not seen that movie in
I'm not a fan of the movie.
That kind of movie is what I call bad movies and trash. It's just, there's nothing believable, or there's nothing to hold on to. It's just a bunch of, and not in my opinion either, but for a lot of people's, bunch of pretty young boys and a couple of girls posturing and trying to emote, and it's just, I don't know, I'm disgusted with that kind of movie. I think fuck that. I'm just like, and that was a 90s movie too, so and it benefited from the.
God, was it really that long ago?
Yeah,
it was the beginning of their career. Well, not the very beginning of Damon's. Affleck had done some TV and stuff, but I can't stand Matt Damon as an actor. I can't stand him. He's just,
that's a take.
He doesn't have skill of an actor. He just smiles and looks cute, But then now that he's older and he finally doesn't look quite as cute, he looks like Leonardo DiCaprio, who finally got older and not cute.
God, I saw some meme that was like they're
basically
become literally the same person, and I'm just like, oh my God.
A lot of stuff them for each other. And when I watched The Departed, when I even watched the movie the first time one of the two characters came on, I thought it was the other actor. Then they had Mark Wahlberg, who didn't have blonde hair, but he had the exact same build, haircut, came out the same.
I've gotten them confused before too, actually, come to think of it.
It was like, Scorsese, why are you being so I don't know. I mean, it was a pretty good movie, but I just thought what's bad about it. The real only thing that's really bad about it, other than Matt Damon's the villain, and to me, he's like, well, he's already the villain. He's an asshole, and so, but he wasn't believable. But to me, what is fascinating is a remake of Infernal Affairs from Hong Kong, made by Andy Lau, starring Tony Leung and Andy Lau. And that movie was huge in Asia, and it got remade into this movie. I have not seen Infernal Affairs. I tried to start it a couple of times and just
not Good Will Hunting.
No, Infernal Affairs. No. No, I was talking about The Departed.
The Departed. Okay.
I said those guys looked alike, and they
got it. Okay, yeah.
Departed's a remake of Infernal Affairs.
Got it. Okay.
So Good Will.
Yeah, I got confused for a second too there.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting. Where's the wastebasket? So that's mine. So
I love it. I love I love the like. You know what? Everyone likes this. I have a very different opinion, and I am asserting it. Like, that's my favorite. I love that.
My version of Good Will Hunting would be Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams. Everybody loves it. I kind of hate it. So
I don't like that one either. it did nothing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, see, there we go. So you said you had honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna let you go last. My honorable mentions are
No, go
just
for it.
two filmmakers. So filmmakers that I watched a lot of their oeuvre this year for the first time. The one is Yasujiro Ozu. I know I'm not saying its first name right yet. Yashajiro, I don't know.
Yasujiro.
Ozu. So now I've seen 10 of his movies, and I covered one on our Japanese cinema thing. Since then, I've seen several more. So far, my favorites are Tokyo Twilight and a silent movie called Dragnet Girl, and they're more noir and darker and kind of depressing subject matter. But then he has those bright movies where it's almost mundane. It would be mundane to a lot of people, but that's part of the charm of it. The way he tells those stories. And the fact that he has that range, I didn't realize that at first. But his movies really, they just make me appreciate storytelling and filmmaking and, people who are able to forge authentic characters, especially in a culture that is alien to me, and still communicate it. And he doesn't. It's kind of like Kurosawa does it, but Kurosawa is a little more universal, which is why he's probably a lot more popular. But Ozu, it's not either. You just have to go into it like with an adult mindset. Like, this is not going to be freewheeling entertainment, and it's really, you'll get to know these families, and I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, he blew me away. And then Pedro Almodovar, I watched 13 of his movies this year for the first time.
Love Almodovar.
My favorite is Women on the Verge of Nervous Breakdown. It's early hit, which is just outrageous dark comedy. It's just insane. Carmen Maura is rules. All of these women, and he has his movies, and some of the men. Banderas is good, and but it's incredible. And I like another one in Live Flesh, which came to Charlotte. I almost saw it in the theater. At first, I thought it was a horror movie, and then when I watched it, it kind of is a horror movie, but I mean, like, psychologically, and it's not. It doesn't have any of his satirical elements. Have you seen that one, Kaylin? It has Bardem in it.
I don't think I have seen that one, actually. Yeah.
That movie is kind of almost a real downer from beginning to end.
Woo!
But
almost as much of a downer as the Japanese movie picks that I chose, that Bill was just like,
Exactly. Oh, and then the other movie I really like of Almodovar's was one I'd already seen, and I did a video on, which somehow got popular for a while. I don't know why. The Skin I Live In, which is totally serious and really is a surgical horror movie. It's obvious
that one's good. Yeah,
it's obvious that he went through the lineage of Franju and Franco, and but he throws sexuality into the mix, and
it is an interesting movie. Yeah.
Respect. Just when you think it's going to get more perverse, it gets more perverse, way more perverse.
More than you even thought it could.
Antonio Banderas is a fucking straight up villain in that movie. Even though
there's
a few things, like, I got why he got mad at that boy, but come on, dude. That was an overreaction.
Just a bit.
Okay, so what are yours?
Gosh, I'm glad you mentioned that one, because that one just is a really, really good film. My honorable mentions are back from when I was binging on lesbian vampire movies in October. I think I might have mentioned this one extremely briefly. I don't remember. I know I didn't cover it in depth, but I really enjoyed Dracula's Daughter, which was kind of the first of those films.
You did it, and I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I enjoyed that one a lot. Just really good 30s horror, black and white, just excellent, very solid, it's just a very tight film. It's like there's nothing unnecessary in it. All of it is just, here you go, beat by beat by beat, and it's just it's a wild ride. I really enjoyed it a lot.
I love her character, Gloria Holden.
Yes. Oh my god, I loved her in it. Also, she's just stunning. My god. So there's that too. Really loved that one. What was the other one I was going to mention? I did finally see Nope, which I enjoyed. Not as much as Peele's other films. I think I mentioned that before, that Us is my favorite of his films. Love, 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 love Us. And Get Out, of course, is also brilliant. But I did finally see
Get
Nope.
Out guy.
Yeah. No, Get Out is
But
wonderful
but
too.
I do like Us
the
quite a
only
lot.
reason that I like Us more than Get Out is probably because I personally found it scarier. Which, yeah. But they're both very, very good. But I did enjoy Nope as well. I loved it as a love letter to cinema and Black history in cinema. Even though it wasn't a very scary film, it was still a really interesting watch, and I still really liked it.
Cool.
Yeah. So those are my two honorable mentions. Yeah.
Most excellent. So I guess we'll wrap up. We'll stop recording anyway. And if someone's watching, please subscribe. Please subscribe. And
please give us comments. We want to hear about what your favorite and least favorite films you watched were. Like, I really want to get into more conversations with our viewers, because I really love that back and forth, I think that'd be great.
Yes, excellent. So if you can support the channel, drop a like. Is only going to take you a couple of seconds. That's going to help us with the algorithms. So we will be back soon, and we love you.
Yay!